Hi, this is Dr. Diane Hayden, publisher of Natural Nutmeg magazine, and welcome to our Lunch and Learn live videos where we interview expert contributors on how to cope with the COVID-19 situation and uplifting interviews about topics related to natural therapies and how to lead a more holistic lifestyle. And today I'm excited to have with me Dana Mascalo. She's a certified financial planner. She's the managing partner of TrinityPoint Wealth in Milford. Dana is a registered life planner and certified financial planner with a holistic approach. Financial life planners help their clients discover and articulate their most essential goals in life and work with them to cultivate the financial conditions necessary to live the life of their dreams. The discussion forthcoming is for informational purposes only. Dana Mascalo is an investment advisor representative with TrinityPoint Wealth, an SEC registered investment advisor. Information herein is not intended to serve as a substitute for personalized investment advice or as a recommendation or solicitation of any particular security, strategy, or investment product. Data presented herein has been obtained from sources believed to be reliable. The speakers cannot guarantee the accuracy or completeness of such information, and certain information may have been condensed or summarized from its original source. TrinityPoint Wealth nor its investment advisor representatives may give tax or legal advice. So I'm excited to have you here with us today, Dana. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you, Diane. I love these.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So I'm excited. We are going to be starting a new column with you in the magazine called Ask Dana, a column where personal finance and life interact. And let's talk a little bit about, who you are. I mean, I'm sure people have tons of questions, like what they may be for the first time hearing, what is a holistic financial advisor? Like I've never even thought of that when, thinking about finances and that kind of thing. So let's just talk a little bit more about you and what you do and how you came to, focus your practice around that.
Absolutely, sure. We do get that question a lot. So again, I'm Dana Mascalo. I've been practicing as a financial advisor and planner for 15 years. I'm, again, one of the partners with TrinityPoint Wealth. TrinityPoint Wealth is an SEC registered investment advisory firm. We're located in Milford, Connecticut, and we also have an office in Charlotte, North Carolina. It's with gratitude that I say that we are the trusted advisor for about 800 million in client assets. And I'm proud to add that we are set up as fiduciaries. So that's how we operate. We are required to put our clients' interests ahead of our own.
That's great. So tell us a little bit more about what kind of clients you work with, like who typically would seek out your type of firm?
Sure. Yeah, and it's really three different types. So together with the team at TrinityPoint, we focus on individuals and families, and really that's the areas that I focus primarily in, is with individuals and families doing comprehensive wealth management and holistic planning. We also work with small to medium-sized businesses for their retirement plans, and we also work with institutions and nonprofits, and we help them with their pensions and endowment funds.
Awesome. Yeah. I think, getting back to the question about what is a holistic financial planner, that's what really, to me, sets you apart. It's what makes you unique and differentiates you from other financial advisors. And like I said, I'm sure people listening to this, it might be the first time they've heard that term. So let's talk a little bit about what that means. Like, what is it? How does that set you apart or differentiate you from, just another different, wealth management firm?
Definitely. And that's a great question, Diane. There are so many different kinds of advisors out there. There's banks, insurance companies, brokerage firms. So we do get that question quite a bit. I think, the real differentiator is around, so if you think about financial planning advice is highly personalized. So I think being able to adapt and customize a solution for each individual's needs and circumstances, it takes time, experience, and I'm trying to find like a sense of connectedness with the client. And on the advisor's part, there really needs to be a dedication and a passion and like just an interest to the work that you're doing is really going to have an impact in the client's life. That's key. When you get into it, there's an integration of money and emotions for individuals. So it takes practice and experience to figure that out and figure out how to best inspire and advise those clients. So when you're putting plans together and providing comprehensive wealth management and planning advice, there's one side, which is the advisor's technical ability and financial understanding. So kind of the, investments and your experience and background in those matters. And then on the other side is that craft, that creative side, that inspirational side, patience, being able to read, other people and knowing what they need to kind of move forward in their life. What I'm trying to do is bring awareness and peace of mind and action so that we can actually make things happen for our clients. And when you think about kind of comprehensive wealth management and planning, there's so many parts. It's almost similar to a lot of the work that you do, Diane. So like with a medical specialist, for example, there's traditional approaches, and then there's also more holistic ones. So I offer clients both approaches.
Yeah, I think what I love about it is that it's such a unique concept. I mean, I think when people think about, managing their finances or investing or that kind of thing, we were probably taught, well, just save as much money as you can and invest it, get a good, financial advisor and invest it wisely so that you can basically make as much money as you can. And I'm learning, from talking to you that there's so many other facets to it, like things that I didn't even think about, and I'm sure other people didn't think about, meaning that, let's look at the quality of life that you want to have. It may not be about, investing as much money as possible. It may be more about, maybe you're going to work past 65. So you have a different strategy than someone who traditionally is basically, they know they're only going to work to age 65 and that's it, they're done. And then they're on vacation playing golf or whatever for the rest of their, their lifespan. But for other people, like I'm one of those people, I'm probably going to work past 65 because I love what I do. And I don't play golf and I would be bored. So there's to me, that's what brings into the holistic component into it, is thinking about all these different strategies. And not only that, like how and where do you want to invest? Like many years ago, I never even thought about the idea that you could pick and choose how you invested based on, say, companies that were more environmentally friendly or, that kind of thing.
Socially responsible.
Right, exactly. So I think that's my next question, is that kind of gets us into, telling us more about your experience and how you work with people and what the difference is between the approaches.
Sure. Yeah. And I like what you were saying there too. There was something coming up, just about saving as much money as you can, right? So there's tons of clients that I work with. They have all the money that they're going to need. So when you're at those levels, you have to go deeper, in order to have an impact. And what you find is there's like these internal beliefs there. So, I may have someone that they have enough financial resources, to do things, but they're so used to spending less and saving more that they don't necessarily have to spend less and save more. Like if there's something that they want to do, they should do it. And you'd be surprised how hard it is to get there. But that definitely comes up more than I thought in the beginning. Okay, so the traditional approach, kind of what does it look like, and a more holistic approach. So like I had said before, some of it is just like the technical ability, the comprehensive wealth management piece. So the traditional approach, I've been practicing as a CFP professional since 2012. CFP, if anybody's looking for an advisor, that stands for Certified Financial Planner, and it's really considered the standard of excellence in the financial planning area. You're looking at 6 different focus areas: financial planning, investments, retirement, tax, insurance, and estate planning. So those are the 6 areas that it's like a rigorous test on the CFP, and it covers those areas. And really, when you think about it, again, like holistic medicine, you're going to have these specialty areas that overlap, and they're going to have an impact on each other. So you better know what you're doing in one, because it might affect the other. Then on top of that, about 4 years ago, I wanted to take things a little bit further. I wanted to explore kind of the more human side of financial planning, and ended up pursuing an additional designation called the Registered Life Planner. And essentially, this is the kind of advice that does go deeper. It adds that visionary overlay to the traditional approach. And when I engage in this type with clients, you can really see lives changing as a result.
That's great. Yeah. So we've actually sat and done the work, so to speak.
Yes.
You've taken me through the whole process of how you work with a client, which is amazing. I mean, it definitely got me thinking in a completely different way about finances and investment and that kind of thing. So you have 3 famous questions that you ask. So let's talk about what those are.
Yes. The 3 questions are sort of the integral part of a methodology called evoke, and that's what registered life planners learn to use when they're practicing with life planning. The first E in evoke is called exploration, and that's where the 3 questions come in. There's a yoga instructor that I have, and he always says, his name is Ralph Gates, and he always says, to begin at the beginning, and begin where we are. And the 3 questions are good for that, to kind of begin where you are. As an advisor, one of the objectives in life planning is we want to fire up and inspire our clients to live a most meaningful life. And the 3 questions help us build that fire. Making a fire is something like everybody can, relate to if you've built a fire. When I was little, I used to love making fires in our fireplace at home. And even though my mom, it drove her crazy, she would always make sure that there's enough paper and kindling and firewood in this special bucket that we had. And I was always very grateful for her for that, to always make sure I had my supplies. But I think about the 3 questions like that too. They're there. They help us gather the supplies to make the fire. So there's like in the first, there's a few exercises, but the 3 questions, I'll give you those today. The first one is, you're gonna imagine that you are financially secure. You have enough money to take care of your needs now and in the future. So you're gonna, picture yourself in those circumstances. And the question is, how would you live your life? Would you change anything? And you're gonna let yourself go and don't hold back on your dreams. And you're gonna write down and describe a life that's complete and richly yours. And that's a big question in the beginning. So you really have to just sit down and, start to let it go. And it comes once you start writing it out, more things come.
I just want to jump in for a second.
Yeah.
I think it's important to like just reiterate that, because I think most of us probably have a hard time answering that question,
Mm-hmm.
because we are so concerned with, well, I mean, it does depend on what age you are, but we're so concerned with, oh my gosh, I don't know if I have enough money. I have to continually do things to make more money.
Yep.
Who's thinking about, oh wow, like this dream that I have everything that I need, and what am I going to do now? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I like that's really what the focus should be, like you're saying. But I think it's more, we get caught up more in, how do I
Mm-hmm.
make more money?
Right.
Not, okay, imagine, put yourself in that position that you already have enough. What does it look like?
Yeah.
We might not even know what it looks like. We may think like, oh, I've got to have a bigger house, or I've got to have a better car, or I want a boat, or I have, like everything that your neighbor has. But when you really meditate and think about, what is it I really want and need, that answer can be very different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we do see many, many different answers, because I've seen so many of these come in, and a lot of them are really beautiful, what people can come up with. And some are only just a few lines. Some are, I have everything I need. So it varies, but it does push you to really think about, how would you live your life? Like, would you go to work? Would you move? And would you travel more? And it just, it 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 starts that process.
Right.
Question one. Yeah. Um,
Okay. So question two
question,
is,
question two is a little, tougher to think about. Um, this time you're going to visit your doctor, and you go to the doctor, and they tell you you only have, say, 5 to 10 years left to live. And the good news is that you won't feel any different. You won't feel sick. The bad news is that you just don't know when it's coming. It's going to be sometime between 5 and 10 years. And the question is, how would you live your life? Would you change anything? What will you do with the time you have left? And so that one, it's thought-provoking. I mean, people sometimes have never thought about that before. So if you have this abbreviated time, would you change anything? And you write those answers down. So,
because we all think we're going to live forever.
yes.
Well, maybe not that, but
Well,
it's not like consciously on your mind. I also think it makes a big difference depending on what things have happened in your life, meaning if you lost a parent at a young age, or if you lost a sibling or someone important to you. I think that your outlook, I guess, changes a little bit, and maybe you start to think about those things.
yes.
But if
Yes.
you're even in your 50s and your parents are still alive and healthy, and you haven't really lost anybody close, I think it's easier to sort of be in that realm of, I'm still young and I'm not thinking about death or
Yes.
or any kind of ending. So
Unless you've battled something, or
right.
if you have had a scare or lost someone close to you. Yeah, right. If you've had that experience before. But yes, if you're just generally a healthy person, and you're busy and time is flying, and every day runs into the next, it's the same reason that people are reluctant to do their estate plans or get their life insurance in order. It's common to just not happen to think about that.
Right.
So the next question is even more. Question 3, the last question. This time you go to the doctor, and the doctor shocks you that you only have one more day to live. And that's like, whoa, because you really want to drop into that question. And that you're actually in that office, and you have something going on, and there's one more day. And you're going to want to notice what kinds of feelings arise as you confront that, your very real mortality. And you're going to want to ask yourself, what did you miss? What did you not get to do? And who did you not get to be? So there's like 3 separate questions in there. In particular, the last one, the who did you not get to be, gets a lot of people. But those are the 3 questions.
I think that's probably the most important one. Who did you not get to be?
Mm-hmm.
If we really think and meditate on that, what if you only have one day? Because I don't think anybody ever got to the end of their life and said, oh, I wish I made more money, or I wish I got, I had a bigger career or whatever. I think it really comes down to like what kind of a person you were and what impact did you have on other people's lives?
Right. And, and for me, I think I've told you the story of what happened, for the benefit of everyone else. That as a registered life planner, you have to go through this process yourself, and it changed my life. And the who did you not get to be for me was a mother. When I had done these questions, it was that I was living by myself, and I wasn't married and didn't have any children, and I was dating someone at the time, but it just makes you think about different things. And fast forward, I have a son, and he'll be 1 in a couple of weeks, whereas I never had any like acceleration on my own to get to that. And didn't even realize how important it was to me until I had done this exercise. So it brings up different things for everyone.
Yeah. I think it's so amazing too, because I feel like, when I first learned about this, again, I keep coming back to the fact that it feels so different from what people think about financial planning. Like you wouldn't be thinking like the questions that we're talking about. I feel like, oh, this is what I would be talking about with my life coach, or maybe even a business coach, or maybe a healthcare professional. But my financial planner, like, really?
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. But people don't make that connection to how important finances are in your life. Like to me, it's an integral, it's one of the integral pillars. It's like, you have to have your health. You have to be able to make money. You have to be able to save for the future. It's one of those, you have to have spirituality, you have to have purpose, you have to have relationships. It's one of those, integral things, I think. But yet I feel like we just don't think about it from that perspective with these questions.
Yeah. And it's interesting too, because, there's still, like I had mentioned, I still offer both, more traditional financial planning, and it's not everybody will want to engage in something like this. So, for my traditional, more traditional clients, I still have that kind of dreamy flavor in the way that I approach things. But to actually engage and do all of the exercises and things, it's for whoever has that desire and wants to go through the process. I love the process. But yeah, and to see it in action is really neat. I think the next step after the questions is when it really, I say the magic happens. The V, so if the process is evoke, so the V in evoke is the visioning process. And this is where they send me the questions and the other exercises from the first step. And as I was comparing before, this is kind of back to the idea of building fire. And so now we have some supplies, and this visionary dialogue kind of brings everything together in in this amazing way. And, you know, you have the paper and you're lighting the kindling, and sometimes, like when you're making a fire, it takes a little while. But eventually those larger pieces ignite and you have a beautiful, powerful flame before you, and it's burning and it's not going to go out. And it's this dialogue that gives you one of those moments, you know, those moments in your life where everything just becomes clear and there's inspiration, there's awareness, and there's a willingness to act. It's not like going, you know, to see someone who gives you advice, just, you know, someone told you something or to do something. This is something that comes from within on the client's part, and it's a very real and burning desire to make great things happen. And as a life planner, that's what I'm going for.
Yeah, that's awesome. So for the people who are, I guess, more used to talking in the regular sense of financial advising, how does this all tie back to money? Like how does this type of way of doing your financial planning tie back into the finances of it all?
So, you know, we have to, when we're financial planning, you know, there's a discovery meeting, you know, in traditional financial planning where, you know, you're figuring out where you are, what you have, what are the current circumstances, and where do you want to go. So it's this visionary overlay just enhances that discovery process in the beginning. So, you know, we know where you are. Like I said, there was other exercises in the beginning, you know, some are financial exercises where, you know, we're just getting an inventory of what that person has, what they do for work, income, assets, the whole thing, insurance. And then we continue with the process. So now we know where we are, we know where we want to go, we have the vision, we're inspired. The next things that sometimes comes up is, well, I can't do this because of this, or, you know, that we call them obstacles. Those all do the different excuses that are out there, and some are very real and hard to get around. You know, if you think about it, like some are big boulders that we have to break down. Others are kind of those internal beliefs that we can talk through and get by. But once we've dismantled those, that's the O in evoke, the obstacles. Knowledge and execution is more in line with a traditional financial planning approach. It's just putting the plan together. Now we're aligning all the financial resources behind those goals and what's most meaningful to the client, and implementing the plan from there.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. I mean, like I said, you know, I've done the process with you. I thought it was eye-opening and inspiring. I mean, I am one of those people that doesn't really get that excited about finances and investing and that kind of thing. It's like, okay, yeah, I have to do it, but like it's not a turn on for me.
Yeah.
You know where my passions are for sure.
Yeah.
So this was a way for, I feel like, for me to really connect with what, you know, where can I find the passion for it? Like, where can I get excited? How can I get excited about doing something like this? How can I have, you know, more of a, I guess what I'm trying to say is it made me more, disciplined, I guess is the word, you know, or like, okay,
why you're doing it in the first place?
Yeah. Like, instead of seeing it like it was restrictive, I guess, like, oh, you know, if I have to have a budget, then I can't do this, or if I have to allocate this amount of money for saving, then that's going to take away from something else. But I was with that mindset, you know, you're never looking towards the long term. You're always looking at what's right now, you know, and sometimes being in the present is what we want and it's great, but other times we want to focus on the long term, obviously. So I feel like it helped me to not see it as a restriction,
Hmm.
to see it as an investment in my future, and something that was going to allow me to do other things down the road.
Yes. Yes, definitely. Um, I hear that from other clients as well. And the other thing that comes up is sometimes people don't realize why they're doing it in the first place. They're just going through the motions and haven't stopped to, like, the pause. The pause is really important. And we forget to pause in life and just take a moment to, where we are, where are we, where are we going, why am I going in the right place, am I doing the things that are even bringing me joy? And so the process does help with that. The other part that's kind of neat is, that if you're not really that excited about finances, that connectedness, so the place I'm trying to get with clients is that idea of trust and connectedness. And so doing exercises like this, or even on the traditional planning side where it's not as deep, but it's just having that interest on the advisor's part to know what's important to the clients, it makes it easier for them to let go of some of those to-do items because, I'm taking care of all of the stuff that they're not interested in or they don't have the time to have interest in. And it's easier for them to let go of it because they know that I have a good understanding of what's in their wallet, so to speak, and what's important to them and what it's all for. So, as having someone in your corner, that you can say, okay, well, you handle this part and I don't have to worry about that. And you have regular check-ins, almost like a financial wellness checkup,
Mm-hmm.
where I can give the highlights and each client is different. I have my engineer types who want to know every detail. And then I don't want to know, Dana, just tell me how I'm doing and that's and we'll wrap it into their plan so that they know, if they're on track or not.
Right.
So
Yeah. I think also there, like what I come, it was interesting when you were talking about obstacles, the obstacles that I come related to money, the obstacles from a business perspective that I come up against are, especially with a lot of holistic practitioners that are solopreneurs, is many of them don't budget for marketing. So they pretty much are, their plan is, well, whatever I have left over in my checkbook this month is what I'm going to spend on marketing. And so my challenge is helping them understand, why do you need a budget and why is it important to market yourself and that kind of thing. And a lot of times it comes down to them just feeling like they don't have the money. And I think that it's the same thing sometimes with investing, especially people who have never, whether it's they're not taking it seriously or it's almost like a fear, like, well, like, not saying you're living paycheck to paycheck, but if you don't have a lot of extra money, I think people feel like, well, I don't have enough money to invest, so I'm just not going to do it. And I think that mindset can be like a slippery slope because it doesn't require that much to get started. And
right.
I think it's just we tend to feel like if we get into that thought pattern, well, I'm just not going to think about it at all, right? So
Yeah. And that's back where, it's silly, it's my yoga instructor, but to begin at the beginning and begin where you are, to just to initiate, and start. And once you start, and that can be at any place, whether you have significant financial resources, or you're just trying to build out, and start building up a reserve, and everywhere in between. There's kind of always something that you can take a look at, organize, see if there's anything you can improve. it also gives you this, peace of mind that, everything is cleaned up and attended to, and, you've had a fresh look at everything, and you know what you need to do, and you don't have to carry it around in your uncertainty pack.
Right. Exactly. One less thing for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, definitely our talk is relevant and good timing from the perspective of people having time to pause, for sure. We've all had time, I think, or most of us have had time over the last couple of months to, hopefully have that space and hopefully think about things like this and, take some steps forward. So
Yeah.
I love what you do. I think that everyone should get in touch with you. So how do you want people
Thank you,
to,
Diane.
you're welcome. How do you want people to connect with you? Whether, any kind of information you want to give, if you want to send them to your website or email or any way to reach out to you.
Sure. So it's just as simple as a phone call or an email. You can find us at TrinityPointWealth.com, and my email is easy. It's Dana, DANA, at TrinityPoint Wealth. And I'm on Diane's page, and if you search Dana Mascalo, I come up pretty easily on all the Google searches. And some of the questions that we're getting out there, there may be something top of mind that is coming up for you. A lot of the questions, am I allocated okay in my 401k, is coming up just because of all the market volatility going on. There may be something, in an estate matter, if you've lost someone, you may be needing help with getting their financial estate in place. And, for others, you may be just looking for a greater sense of purpose, and it's just time to get your financial house in order and give you some more financial peace of mind. So, I would welcome everyone. If you have questions, just reach out anytime. We have a terrific team at TrinityPoint Wealth. I couldn't do it without them, and they make the process, very easy for all of our new clients.
Great. We're excited for your new column to come out. And obviously this recording will be on our website, naturalnutmeg.com. And you can also check us out on our social media pages at Natural Nutmeg Magazine. And I want to thank you again, Dana, for an awesome talk. And I hope people connect with you.
Yes. And thank you again to Diane for all of your efforts, that you're doing for all the small businesses and other holistic practitioners. It's a really wonderful thing that you're doing. And so if anybody hasn't gone on to your different networking events or reading about marketing and how important it is, I know we at TrinityPoint, we're big believers in marketing and supporting our community. So thank you for all of your efforts.
Oh, you're welcome. I appreciate that. Great. Well, thanks again. And thanks everybody for joining us. Hope you all have a great day.
You too.
Bye now.
Bye.